Yes. Good morning. Welcome to Ask Coffee Online. My name is Chef Caesar. Today I want to show you how to make a wonderful sun-dried tomato pesto sauce. I know I showed you guys before how to make a basil pesto sauce. This sauce originated in North Italy, and the word pesto means to crush. In the old days, the normal way to make this was they didn't have this wonderful machines that we have nowadays, like this food processor. They use mortar and wood pestos. They had to like crush it by hand. I still have one student. He's from Italy. He made his pesto sauce using the traditional old way, and it came out really great. He did a lot of extra work, but he just wanted to do it the normal way that it used to be done 100 years ago or so. Well, the first thing here we're going to start. I mean, the process is pretty much the same as you would do to make your basil pesto. We're going to start with some sun-dried tomatoes, and you can usually find this in any store. And they usually come like this, or there's also ones that come in olive oil or like regular oil. Those are like nice and soft, but these ones you need to like soak in water or some white wine for a little while. So if you do this like the day overnight, you can do that. I left them here for a while. I got some white wine. It gives it a nice flavor, but you don't have to use wine. You can just use some hot water to make them soft. And these are pretty soft. Sometimes you find them really hard. And then they're going to need a little more time to soak, to soften up, because you don't want to start crushing this in the machine when they're really dry. You might, ruin the machine, and it's going to be hard to puree them really nice to a nice texture. So now that we have our sun-dried tomatoes kind of soaked up a little bit, and they're nice and soft, we're going to, drain some of this liquid. I'm going to just drain it back in the sink over here. And like I said, this is the nice and soft. I'm going to add some of this to my food processor here. This is going to be kind of, easy way to do. I don't have to, crush it with a mortar and pesto. So I'm going to use about, 2 cups of sun-dried tomatoes here. I'm just going to put them right into the food processor, maybe a little more than 2 cups. Okay, then I'm going to have some garlic. This is a must in pesto sauce. And you don't have to chop them really fine. Since they're going to go into the food processor, that's going to do most of the work. So you kind of, roughly chop about 3 garlic cloves. If you want a little more, you can add a little more, but 3 is enough. So like I say, you don't have to really chop them real fine, since we're going to go into the processor. Also, I'm going to add a little some fresh basil, about a 1/4 cup. You don't want to add too much because you want to really taste the tomatoes, not so much the basil. And you can see I'm going to skip the pine nuts this time. And if you want, there's some recipes that you can also add pine nuts, because the traditional pesto sauce, you use it with pine nuts. So I'm going to add some of this. And I'm going to start chopping them up a little bit. At the same time, I'm going to add some olive oil here. So starting low. As you can see, they're kind of still a little hard, so this way it's jumping around. Okay. Alright, I'm going to push everything down because kind of all the garlic went up here. And you can decide if you want to add a little more oil. Sometimes the texture might be a little, too thick. You can thin it down a little more, add a little more oil. That's okay. And you can use this for so many different dishes. Today I decided to make a chicken roulade. I'm going to be, showing you in a little bit to plate it. And it's going to go with my pesto sauce. You can also make a pasta. There's so many different things you can do with this. And you can save this in the refrigerator. You can, put it in there in a nice tight jar. And it's going to stay there for a while. You can even find this frozen too. Okay. Also, I'm going to add some of my Parmesan cheese here. Okay. I got about a cup of cheese here. I'm going to add a little bit at a time here. If you guys have any questions, let me know as we go here. I think we have a question by one of the students. Go ahead.
Can you make your own sun-dried tomatoes?
The question was, can you make your own sun-dried tomatoes? Of course you can. You can, cut them in half, salt them, and put them in a rack, and just put them out in the sun somewhere. Sometimes you find the sun-dried tomatoes that they're really dark. And the reason they're dark, because they're not dry in the sun, they're like dry in ovens, that's why they turn real dark. But you can tell the difference. When they're like in the sun, they're kind of nice and bright, but you will see some, they're really dark. And those are dry in ovens, that's why they're turn like that. But you can do your own at home, no problem. I'm gonna add a little more oil here. I'm gonna push this down. You see it's becoming a nice paste, and it's really too thick because I added more than 2 cups of sun-dried tomatoes, so that's why I'm gonna need some more olive oil, and I still have to add some more of my Parmesan cheese, so this is gonna make it even thicker. So this is gonna be a nice batch. So you can see that really goes a long way. Otherwise, you're gonna get really too thick. Okay, I'm going to add some more olive oil here. And as I said before, you can also make a walnut pesto. I mean, there's so many different ways. The word pesto, like I said, only means to crush. And you can add many different ingredients. I was telling some of my students one day they couldn't find basil, so I told them to go find some arugula, which makes a great sauce too. It tastes different, it's a little more spicy because arugula is like a lettuce family, but it's got like a little spice to it. So it's gonna be a little spicy, but it makes a great nice refreshing sauce too. I'm gonna add a little black pepper here too, and be careful when you put salt in this thing because the cheese is very salty, so tomatoes too. So be careful not to put too much salt. You want to taste it before you finish, with the salt. We have another question by one of our students here.
Could you use toasted almonds and pistachios?
The question was, can you use toasted almonds and pistachios? The answer is yes. A lot of you guys, they can't find pine nuts for some reason. And yeah, just call me. Sometimes, you can use almonds or pistachios. Obviously, the flavor is going to be a little bit different because pine nuts have a unique nutty flavor that's different from pistachios and almonds, but you can still use those. Okay, now we have this sun-dried tomato pesto here. Is pretty much almost done. And like I said before, you want to taste it before you add any salt because these tomatoes, they're salted when they get sun-dried, so kind of salt helps out to bring out the moisture when you dry them in the sun. So it's kind of a way to preserve them too. And this is you want to be careful because some of the salt goes away when you soak them, but still some is going to stay in the tomatoes as well. It's really good. It's got a nice flavor. Go ahead, we have another question here by one of the students as well.
Did you soak the tomatoes in water first before you pulsed them?
The question was, did I soak the tomatoes in water first? The answer is yes. I also added a little white wine along with some warm water. You don't have to add wine, but it gives them a nice flavor. And also, you can soak these things overnight, put them in the refrigerator, or if you want to do it with some really hot water for like about half an hour until they get nice and soft. And I think mine could have gone a little more. Sometimes, I do them, overnight, and they kind of get nice and soft. But these things work okay. But make sure that you always soak them because you don't want to break the machine. Because it's like I told you, some of these things, these are kind of soft. Sometimes you find they're really hard. They're like dry mushrooms, and you really have to soak them to make them nice and soft. Otherwise, you're gonna, ruin the blades on your food processor. So it's very important that you soak them up properly, and then kind of drain this. Because, like I said, these are like you can eat them like this. You can put them in the pasta, but they're like so salty because they salt them when they sun dry them to like help bring some of the moisture out and get them nice and dry. They only cut them in half. And somebody was asking if you can make your own at home, and yes, you can. Especially in the summertime, when you guys grow your gardens out there and there's like overabundance of tomatoes, you can do this. Cut them in half, salt them with some sea salt and put them in a rack and put them out in the sun somewhere, and they will, turn out really nice. And you can, save, for the winter or whatever. And also you can make even a sauce. You don't have to make pesto sauce. You can make a dish using your sun-dried tomatoes for like a pasta or whatever. So it doesn't have to be necessarily a pesto sauce. You can, use like a tomato sauce, and it comes out really nice. I think we have another question here by one of our students.
Could you add green chilies for heat?
Can you add green chilies for heat to the pesto? If you want, you could. I mean, it's just whatever tastes really. When it comes down to cooking, you can change the recipes, as long as you follow the proper technique. Of course, you can add some chilies, like red chilies, and give it a little more, heat to the sauce. Because right now it's kind of sweet because the tomatoes are nice and sweet. But again, you can also add some more, heat to it, so it's no problem. And going back to like the tasting. This is like, I didn't add any salt. It's enough the way it is. I don't want to add more, because eventually if you're going to make like a pasta or something, you're going to be probably seasoning the chicken or whatever you add with your pasta, and that's going to kind of, you know, balance the flavors. And now this is good enough like this. I want to show you the texture of the sun-dried tomatoes. I'm going to get it out of here. Move things around a little bit. Look at this. This is like, you know, a nice pasty texture. You can also add a little more oil to make it runny, but this is nice because, you know, once you use it for something, you know, a little bit goes a long way, because, you know, you're going to thin it out with some cream. You can make a nice cream sauce with this, or just add some chicken stock to your pesto sauce and make, you know, different variations. And this is what it looks like. And you see a little green from the basil, but it's not like, you really don't taste the basil in here. The sun-dried tomatoes are more like, the flavor comes, you know, through, and you can taste it much better. And like I was saying before, you know, there's so many different uses you can use this pesto sauce for. Today I made a chicken roulade, which I stuffed with some prosciutto, some spinach, and I'm gonna show you how to, you know, you can make a nice dish, but you can also make maybe an appetizer with some toasted, you know, like toast points with some fresh mozzarella cheese. You can make a pasta with some chicken, the shrimp. There's so many different ways, and like I say, this holds really well in the refrigerator because it's got like a high acid content from the tomatoes, so it's not going to spoil really quick. It has, you know, the garlic and also the tomatoes, which are really, like say, you know, have a high acid content, which bacteria kind of tends not to like it to live there. But still, you don't want to, you know, live there for too long. Make sure you know, keep an eye, date everything that goes into the refrigerator, so that way you don't, you know, it doesn't end up spoiling on you. And you can also freeze it if you want to, you know, stretch the life of your sauce. I think we have another question here by somebody.
Can you dry the tomatoes without salt?
The question was, can you dry tomatoes without salt in them? Yes, you can. You know, the only reason they put salt on them is to kind of preserve them, you know, from getting spoiled, and to, you know, kind of speed up the drying process. Because as we know, salt attracts water, so it's going to kind of dehydrate them quicker. But yes, if you don't want to add salt to the tomatoes, you're very welcome to just cut them in half or quarters and put them in a dehydrator, or like put them in the sun. You know, most of us, you can find nowadays those little machines that you dehydrate, you know, fruits or vegetables, and you can use one of those to do the tomatoes. But in the summertime, I mean, you put them out in the sun, they're gonna, you know, turn out really nice, like the ones I got over here. And like I say, you can also do them in the oven, but, you know, I really don't recommend that, because when you put them in the oven, they turn like really darker. And you will see, sometimes you're gonna go to the store, you're gonna find out they're really like dark. The same thing with like chilies. When we find like dry chilies, some of them are like really nice and bright red, but then you see some that are really dark. They might be the same chili, but the only difference is some of those are like dry in ovens, like big, you know, commercial ovens, and some just to make the process easier and to make it cheaper. But, you know, again, it doesn't be, you know, sun-dried, they're really better, and they're really nice. They kind of hold their color really nice like this, and you can find them pretty much anywhere. You can make your own, like I say. Now we're gonna, you know, plate our chicken. I made a nice chicken roulade, but I want to thin this out a little bit for my plating my chicken. Like I said, it's too thick, so I want to make a little. Put some in a little saucepan here, and I got some chicken stock I'm gonna add to this and make it a little thinner, so it's not like too thick when you plate your dish. Okay, I gotta go back here. Okay, I added some warm chicken stock. As you can see, it's really nice. You can, you know, stretch your sauce a little more. I could also add some cream or milk. If you want to make a cream sauce, you can. But, you know, if you want to keep it just a little more on the healthy side, just add some chicken stock, and that would be good enough. But again, like, you know, you can also make a cream sauce if you guys like cream. No, there's no problem doing so. And I don't want this to be too pasty, too thick when I plate my chicken with this. I want it to be kind of, you know, runny, but not too runny, so it goes all over the plate. So maybe a little bit more. As you can see, it kind of stretched a lot. Now you're gonna have a lot of sauce. Okay, this should be good enough now. Okay, and this should be good enough now, as you can see. And you can also make it, you know, a little bit thicker. For the pasta sauce, this would be perfect. As you guys can see, it's very easy. Once you have everything set up, the process to make this sauce is really simple. So I keep saying, cooking is easy, but you really have to love that. Okay, now I think this is ready. I'm gonna put it aside, and I'm gonna start plating my chicken roulade. I made some little bundles here with some greens. Okay, I'll lay them like this. And you don't always have to use, starch and vegetable oil. You can go a little light like I'm doing right now here. Sometimes, people think that they also have to serve, starch. Not necessarily. You can just do something like a little nice bundles of salads like I do right now. And maybe a little radishes here. And make it more refreshing, more light. Here's some. As you can see, this is really simple to do something like this. And all you guys can. I see you guys, do a great improvement with your assignments now. They're like, I tell you guys that, plating is a big part of being a chef. You have to make things, taste good, but at the same time, you gotta, make them look pretty too. So it's one of those things that, you learn with time. Doesn't come overnight, but again, it's one of those things, like I say, don't be frustrated that you don't get it right away. But like I say, I'm gonna be telling you guys every step of the way. I got some segment orange here. So this is gonna be nice and refreshing, as you can see this. Okay. And you can make, a plate look kind of nice with very little things. And this is fun. Doing this is really fun. Okay. Okay. Now I'm gonna bring my chicken over here. I'm gonna put some of the sauce down on the plate first. So I'm gonna, slice the chicken, and then I'm gonna put it over the top. There you go. Make some slices here. And I got some prosciutto and some spinach and some provolone cheese inside this chicken breast, and I poach them in some chicken stock. You can also, you want to get them a little color, you can brown them too when you take them out of the poaching liquid. But today I just want to make it a little, healthy. I don't want to fry anything up. So I'm just going to make this like this. As you can see, it's very easy. Look at this. Okay. There we go. And I know you guys can do this at home. It's not complicated at all. And I really want to see you guys try this at home. There you go. A nice, refreshing. You can also add a little dressing to this. I'm just leave it plain like this, but you can add, very little things, and just kind of bring out the color of the dish. Really simple. You can see, there's some few components here, but again, it's something that you guys, use your creativity and just start thinking and put it together in a plate, and it's going to come out really nice. I promise you. So I want to thank you guys for being here this morning. And I see you next week with another, different topic. Thank you. Have a nice day.